YouTubers, just wanted to talk to you a second about the Fox 2.0 performance shocks. These are for my 2017 GMC Sierra. I was on my GM truck group the other day, and for you guys that don't know, I run the Silverado Sierra 2014 to 2018 truck group on Facebook. Get over 30,000 members. Things growing fast. So if you own a 2014 to 2018 GM truck, make sure you join. I'll put a link in the description down below. I was going through there the other day and was reading post, and there was a guy on there that had a really nice pickup and had a Fox Racing shocks up underneath the back of it. And one of the comments down below says, "Hey man, your shocks are upside down. You need to flip them upside down, and that way they'll work better." And so the guy was like, "Oh, okay." And the guy was like spouting all this information off, and just really had the guy convinced that, you know, they were on upside down. So I thought, well, I'm gonna go find the answer for myself. And guess what? I'm fixing to mount my shocks on my truck, so I wanted to find the correct answer. And so anyways, I went on a little search, several hours of research trying to find the exact way, because, you know, if you look at the internet, there's several different opinions on shocks, but I'll go ahead and tell you, this is the facts from their installation guide right here. And you'll look, I've got it highlighted for you, and you can read it for yourself. It says, in most cases, Fox direct replacement smooth body shocks are mounted with the shock body oriented on top. So what that means is the body would be mounted up top like this, and then the shaft part would be down below. So, like I said, I started doing some research on it, and so I turned to YouTube, just like what a lot of you guys would do, and I started watching this video review from AmericanTrucks.com. And, you know, if you watch the review and the installation, you can see on in here how they have them mounted. You can see that the body is down below instead of up top. So I was sitting there thinking, well, did these guys mess up and mount the shocks in the wrong orientation? And so I started reading some of their comments down below. This guy right here, Desert Nerd, says the Fox shocks were installed upside down. And American Trucks said Fox 2.0 IFP are actually one of the only monotube shocks that can be installed with the body up or down. This is because the IFP comes with an internal floating piston that separates the shock oil from the nitrogen charged gas chamber. This eliminates oil aeration that can happen with heavy use. And with shocks being installed upside down, it really comes down to personal preference and clearance for each specific application. So I would assume that information come from Fox. So anyways, I read it to you in the manual. It says most of the time the body is mounted up top, but it did say most of the time. It didn't say that you couldn't mount them with the body up top or the body down below. It just says most of the time the body is mounted up top. So if you've got clearance issues or whatever with the Fox 2.0 shocks, you can mount them either which way. It doesn't matter. So I just wanted to clarify that. And now on to the next question. The next question is, should I run shock boots or not? You know, I live on a gravel driveway, and, you know, whenever somebody comes up and down my driveway, I can look out the window and see a cloud of dust following up underneath their vehicle. So that tells me, yeah, the underneath of my vehicle, it's going to be super dusty and dirty. You know, also, you're going to be picking up rocks in your tires, and if your shocks are mounted with the rod down low, or even up high for that matter, but especially if they're mounted down low, it could pick up a rock with a tire and sling it and nick a part of that shaft. Okay? You with me? So if it nicks that shaft, and that shaft is moving in and out of that shock body right there, and there's several seals where that rod goes in and out, what's going to happen? Okay, let me explain. Let's pretend this little piece of plastic here is the rod that goes up through the middle of the shock. It's nice and smooth, and you know, it's don't have any nicks in it. Pretend this is the seal of the shock body where the rod goes into. And for all you perverts, I'm sure I'll get some good comments from this because, you know, us men, this is the only thing we have in our mind. But anyways, if this is the seal that goes into the shock body and this rod goes in and out several thousand times, you know, let's just say, you know, for your vehicle going down the road 1 mile, think of how many times that shock's going to go in and out, you know. So depending on how rough that road is, you know, if you're on a rough road, then it's going to be moving a lot. So anyways, that shaft, as long as that rod is nice and smooth, you know, it's going to last a long time. But imagine you put some nicks in that shaft there. How long is it going to last? Well, I've got a bolt right here to kind of simulate. See, you know, let's pretend these were little nicks right here. And going in and out of that seal right there, what's going to happen? Those little nicks are going to tear the hell out of that seal. And that seal is going to fail. And then you're going to end up with dirt up in the body, or you're going to have oil leaking out, and it's just going to be a mess. And then you're going to have to rebuild your shocks, and that's a lot of money. Me personally, I'm going to run shock boots. You know, I know that they don't provide shock boots with the Fox shocks, and that's fine. I think it's more of a personal preference. But I know some of the other companies, like Bill Stein, they do. And I was watching a YouTuber on one of the other YouTube channels, and he said that Bill Stein will void your warranty if you don't run the shock boots. You know, I can't speak for Fox, but you know, I'm definitely going to run the shock boots, just simply because, like I said, I'm live on a dusty, dirty road, and you know, I don't want it nicking the shaft. I don't want residual dust and dirt sticking to the shaft. Because you know that shaft on the inside of there is kind of tacky because it's got some residual oil sticking, you know, to it, and so it's just going to attract dust and dirt. So I chose to run shock boots, and you know, I know some of these companies, they say, hey, not to run the shock boots because if you go out and get in the water or get mud in them, they're just going to cake up full of moisture and cause rust on that shaft, or you're going to get mud in here and water in here, and it's going to cause a problem. Okay, well, I've got pretty much a mall crawler. It stays on the pavement about 95% of the time. Now, if I've got to go across, you know, the yard to get to my shed or my kayak trailer or my utility trailer, or to drive around the house to wash my truck or something like that, then yeah, I'm going to go through the yard, and it, you know, but it's not going to be buried up to the axles in red mud, and I'm not going to try to do a river crossing in my $50,000-$60,000 truck. So with that being said, I'm going to run the boots, and I'm going to try something a little bit different. Guys might think it's hilarious. You know, you might say, hey, you're stupid. But, hey, I'm going to try it out. I'll tell you what that is here in a second. Bear with me. Just wanted to go ahead and tell you, I purchased these shock boots from Amazon, from Daystar. The reason I chose these is because they were the polyurethane ones. And I would figure that they would probably last longer than the rubber ones. So that's why I chose the Daystar ones. And they were only $15 for the pair. And it comes with a couple zip ties. And so now I'm fixing to get on to the funny part. So I got to thinking, well, hey, my truck don't really go in any mud, don't really go in any water. Why couldn't you just seal this up on both ends? And that way, no dirt, no water, or nothing really gets in there and affects that seal. So I was thinking, you know, if you can keep that seal in good shape, it keeps the oil nice and clean because, gunk's not getting in through that seal. And if you keep that oil nice and clean, then hey, maybe you'll prolong the life of these shocks from having to rebuild them as often. So I thought, well, why not take a little silicone, some clear silicone, and just run it around the outside of that shock boot. And since it's clear, you can't even see it. Yeah, you can't even see it. And I don't know if the camera's picking up any of it, but literally it's pretty much invisible because it's clear up against that anodized aluminum, and it's just not even noticeable. So after I put silicone around that boot, I took 2 zip ties and put them side by side, because if one fails and breaks, then you've got the other one to hold it. Then also, I didn't just put the boot right at the end of the shock. I raised it up a little bit higher, so if it does start to slide, it's not going to be right at the edge and just slide right off down the shaft. So the shock don't start dropping off to right there. So you've got a good 1.5 inches that the boot is up on the body of the shock, and so it's not going to fall off very easily. So if you're wanting to know what kind of silicone I used, I just had this laying around. I used it to seal up a kayak, and seemed to do a good job. It's 100% silicone. It's clear, lifetime guarantee. It's weatherproof, sunproof, freeze-proof, flexible. And so I thought, you know what? That might seal that up good. And hey, this is just an experiment. I'm not saying it works. I'm not saying it's going to work great. I'm not saying that, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just saying I'm going to test it out on my vehicle and see how it works. And if it works, then who knows, Now on this end right here, I've got it kind of caked up because there was more of a gap around there. And the reason it looks so gawked on there is because, it hasn't had enough time to dry. By morning, this will be nice and clear and you won't even be able to see it. But I've also got 2 zip ties hooked right in there or beside one another. So like I said, same as the bottom. If one breaks, I've got another one to hold that boot on there. And so again, I've got this one all sealed up, and by morning, that silicone should be nice and clear and you shouldn't even notice it. I don't see why this wouldn't work. So anyways, that's my tip for the day. You don't know until you try it. I'm sure I'll get some criticism in the comments, and that's fine. If there's, something you want to say, if there's a better way to do it, if there's, if you think this is completely ridiculous, well, okay, I don't care. Put it in the comments. I'm open for constructive criticism. Just give me a better way to do it. So anyways, appreciate you guys watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you join my Facebook group if you own a 2014 to 2018 GMC Sierra or Silverado. Like I said, I'll put a link down below. Got a bunch more YouTube videos coming your way. And then the front coilovers are going to be coming later in the month. So I'm gonna do an install video on those as well. And if you're riding around with those factory Rancho Z71 shocks, you know what I'm talking about. They're horrible. My truck's only got less than 25,000 miles on it, and it just doesn't ride worth crap. Those shocks just seem worn out to me. And if yours is not a Z71, just has the old standard GM shocks on it, then I'm sure you're probably experiencing the same thing. The vehicle just doesn't handle very well. And you hit a pothole and it bounces all over the road. So I wanted something a little bit stiffer. So we're going to try these Fox 2.0 performance shocks out and see how it goes. Everybody that I've spoke with says these are the shock to get. And I've also heard great things about the Bilstein. But I've also heard that these are a little bit stiffer and are a little bit better. So we'll see. I know that these have some advantages, and I'll bring all that out in the next video. So anyways, you guys have a good one. Talk to you later.